The Black Caiman, the undisputed ruler of the Amazon River, a prehistoric killing machine that hunts capybaras, deer, anacondas, and anything else that gets too close to the water. This animal is supposed to be the apex predator of the most dangerous river system on Earth. So why is it fleeing from an otter? If you search online, you'll find photos and videos from across the Amazon showing the exact same bizarre scenario. A massive black caiman, an animal that can weigh over 1,000 pounds and stretch to 16 feet, is retreating through the water as fast as it possibly can, while a group of giant river otters aggressively chases it down. This isn't a fluke. This is a documented, repeating dynamic observed all across the Amazon basin. Wherever these animals share the same stretch of river, the outcome is almost always the same. The caiman abandons its territory and tries to disappear. When you think about it, it seems completely absurd. You have a reptile with a 2,000-pound bite force, armored in scales so thick that bullets have reportedly bounced off them, being driven out of its own river by an animal that looks like it belongs in a children's movie. But to understand why the caiman doesn't just simply spin around, clamp its jaws shut, and end the whole situation immediately, you have to understand what these animals actually are and how they actually fight. The black caiman is built for one thing: the ambush. It is the Amazon's ultimate patience predator. It can lie perfectly motionless in dark water for hours, invisible, using sensory pits on its snout to detect even the faintest vibrations. Then it explodes. One single lunge, one snap of the jaws, and whatever was standing at the water's edge is gone. The caiman essentially operates like a landmine. It doesn't need to chase anything, it just needs its prey to come to it. And that's the problem, because giant river otters absolutely refuse to come to it. Giant river otters are not the cute little sea otters floating on their backs eating clams. Giant river otters grow up to 6 feet long. They're loud, aggressive, territorial animals nicknamed river wolves by locals, and they hunt in coordinated family packs of up to 8 individuals. Where the caiman is a slow, deliberate ambush machine, the otter is the exact opposite. It is fast, agile, constantly moving, and attacks from multiple angles simultaneously. The caiman's entire anatomy is designed around striking something in front of it that doesn't see it coming. Its body is stiff and powerful, but it is not nimble. Turning quickly in water requires the caiman to engage its entire body in a massive slow arc. Otters, on the other hand, are essentially torpedoes with legs. They can reverse direction almost instantly, dive underneath the caiman, surface behind it, and be biting at the back of its neck before the caiman has even finished rotating. The very thing that makes the caiman unbeatable, its ambush, its stillness, its explosive forward strike, is completely useless against an enemy that is already on top of it and moving in every direction at once. So fine, maybe the caiman can't catch one otter easily, but it seems like it should be able to just ignore them, right? Just sink underwater and wait for them to lose interest. Except otters make ignoring them completely impossible, because the first thing a giant river otter does when it spots a caiman anywhere near its territory is start screaming. And giant river otters are extraordinarily loud. They have a vocal repertoire of nearly 20 distinct calls, and when one otter starts screaming an alarm, every other otter within earshot immediately comes. Within minutes, the caiman is no longer dealing with one animal. It's dealing with the whole family. 8 animals screaming, diving, biting, circling. This is called mobbing, and otters are terrifyingly good at it. Researchers have documented otter groups using this exact tactic, not just on caimans, but on jaguars, chasing them off riverbanks entirely. The otters divide the labor. One otter will rush the caiman's face to draw its attention. The exact moment the caiman's head swings toward the threat, 2 more otters dart in from the sides. Another one goes for the tail. They never let the caiman focus. They never give it a clear target. They keep it constantly spinning, constantly reacting, burning enormous amounts of energy. And a cold-blooded reptile burning energy is a reptile in serious trouble. But even with all of that chaos and noise, you might think it's still just a bunch of biting. The caiman is armored. It shouldn't care. And this is where the real answer becomes clear. Being an apex predator is genuinely fragile. The black caiman's entire survival strategy depends on stealth and precision. It hunts at night. It hides in murky water. It needs to detect the faintest vibration through its sensory pits to locate prey. Those sensory pits are located on its snout. They are exposed. If an otter bites or damages those pits, the caiman loses its primary hunting mechanism. It can't find food in the dark anymore, and it starves. More critically, the caiman's eyes are exposed on the top of its head. An otter that gets a clean bite at the caiman's eye leaves it half-blind. A half-blind ambush predator is no longer an ambush predator. It's just a very heavy animal waiting to die slowly of starvation. For the caiman, the math is exactly the same as it always is for apex predators. The risk of taking even one serious hit is catastrophically high, and the reward for winning the fight is almost nothing. If the caiman turns around and kills an otter, it gets about 50 pounds of animal, barely worth the energy it just spent. And to kill that otter, it had to expose itself to 7 others. Leaving is just a logical choice. But otters, like many highly intelligent animals, take things further than simple territory defense. Because giant river otters are among the most cognitively sophisticated mammals in the Amazon, they live in tight family units. They communicate constantly, and they remember. Research has shown that giant otters recognize individual threats and adjust their group behavior accordingly. A caiman that has attacked an otter den, that has threatened the pups, will be met with a completely different level of aggression than a caiman just passing through. The family teaches its younger members who the enemy is. Juvenile otters learn the threat assessment from the adults. This means a caiman that made the mistake of getting too close to a den 2 years ago might be mobbed by otters that weren't even born yet when it happened. The entire family has been briefed. The case file is open. And when the otters finally decide a caiman needs to leave, they know exactly where to hit it. The caiman has 2 main weapons: its jaws, which strike forward, and its tail, which sweeps sideways. If an otter attacks from the front, it risks those jaws, so they don't. Otters preferentially attack from above and behind, going for the neck, the base of the skull, and the exposed eyes and snout. These are the exact spots where the caiman's armor is weakest and its vulnerability is highest. There are documented cases where an entire otter family has surrounded a caiman in the shallows and simply worn it down, biting relentlessly at its head until the caiman reversed out of the territory and didn't come back. And sometimes the otters aren't just defending, sometimes they're stealing. A caiman that has just caught a large fish is suddenly a much more interesting target. It's stationary, it's occupied, its jaws are full, which limits what it can do next. The otters know this. They'll begin the harassment immediately, screaming, circling, diving at the caiman's head, and keep it up until the caiman, overwhelmed and unwilling to risk an eye for a fish it's already caught, drops the meal. The otters take it, the caiman leaves. The whole operation takes maybe 3 minutes. Now, I want to be completely clear, the caiman is not helpless. The otters are playing an incredibly dangerous game, and they know it. A caiman that gets a clean strike on a slow or careless otter ends that otter instantly. The jaws close, and it's over. Otters are occasionally killed by caimans, especially pups who don't yet understand the rules. The adults always position the young at the back, away from the action, because they understand the stakes. The caiman is a monster. The otters are just extraordinarily good at making the monster decide they aren't worth it. And that's the real lesson here. When we think about power in the natural world, we default to size and strength. We think the biggest animal wins. But the Amazon keeps proving that wrong over and over. The black caiman doesn't flee the giant river otter because it's weak. It flees because it's calculated the cost of fighting a screaming, coordinated, intelligent pack of animals that knows exactly where your eyes are, and concluded that its life is worth more than winning the argument. You don't have to be the biggest thing in the river to own it. You just have to make the biggest thing in the river decide you're more trouble than you're worth.